A year ago, almost no one outside commodity desks noticed when China restricted tungsten exports for military use. There was no market crash, no emergency summit, just a policy notice. 12 months later, ammunition factories are running hotter than they have in decades. Aerospace backlogs are stacked years deep. Energy drillers are burning through carbide bits. And the one metal that makes all of it possible is tighter than at any point in modern trade history. Prices have tripled. Exports are down 40%. New mines take nearly a decade to open, and the countries ramping up production the fastest are not the ones controlling the supply. According to Chinese customs data released earlier this year and cited by Reuters, China's tungsten exports have fallen roughly 40% compared with pre-restriction levels. That contraction struck a market in which China dominates supply. The United States Geological Survey reported in its latest mineral commodity summary that China produces approximately 67,000 metric tons of tungsten annually, while the rest of the world combined produces only a few thousand tons. Prices responded with force. Across 2025, benchmark prices for tungsten concentrates and ammonium paratungstate roughly tripled in major trading hubs. Bloomberg reported late last year that European spot prices reached record highs, and into 2026 those levels remain elevated. In both Europe and China, spot prices are at or near all-time highs, and according to traders interviewed by the Financial Times, are expected to climb further. The primary uses are not obscure. Tungsten is embedded in cutting tools for heavy manufacturing, carbide drill bits for energy extraction, aerospace components, electronics, and advanced defense systems. When these tools wear out, they must be replaced. Production lines do not pause because inputs are scarce. An unusual signal has emerged inside China itself. Domestic spot prices have at times traded even higher than European benchmarks. That premium reflects intense internal demand from Chinese factories competing for material that is no longer freely available abroad. Analysts expect that the Rotterdam price will ultimately rise faster than China's domestic price as Europe competes for the shrinking pool of exportable supply. This is not a market where higher prices unlock quick relief. Unlike crude oil producers who can often respond to price spikes by increasing drilling activity within months, tungsten suppliers cannot scale output rapidly. Mines require complex geological processing, specialized refining, and multi-year permitting. The price signal is clear, the production response is not. For decades, tungsten attracted little sustained attention. Militaries that required it maintained modest domestic output, and there were relatively few high-intensity conflicts drawing down stockpiles. That assumption no longer holds. Reuters reporting on the war in Ukraine documented extraordinary levels of ammunition expenditure, and every time something goes boom in Ukraine or Gaza, it is a call on tungsten miners to replace material consumed in munitions. The export restriction itself extends beyond a narrow military ban. China has stated that foreign militaries are not permitted to buy tungsten under the new controls, framing the decision under national security law. Yet for civilian buyers and traders, proving end use is complicated. Middlemen cannot always verify whether downstream customers will incorporate tungsten into weapons systems, and compliance risk alone slows transactions. The central tension is not that tungsten is more expensive. The Pentagon, oil drillers, and automotive manufacturers are largely price insensitive in this context. Defense budgets and industrial contracts can absorb higher costs. The problem is not price. The problem is non-availability. If tungsten does not arrive, tools cannot be manufactured and munitions cannot be assembled. According to the World Trade Organization's trade data and industry statistics cited by Bloomberg, China consumes roughly half of all tungsten produced globally. Chinese demand is approximately 4 times that of the United States. That internal consumption is the other elephant in the room. Even without export controls, domestic factories would compete aggressively for available supply. From Beijing's perspective, shipping scarce tungsten to foreign factories that compete with Chinese manufacturers creates its own economic trade-offs. Retaining material for domestic aerospace, automotive, and defense production reinforces national industrial capacity. The export restriction therefore aligns both security and industrial policy objectives. Once Chinese firms became the low-cost suppliers over the past decade, they expanded processing capacity and integrated downstream industries. As production costs fell and supply chains consolidated, mines outside China struggled to compete. In under a decade, almost all major mines outside China shut down or significantly reduced output. The global industry hollowed out beyond its dominant producer. When the export ban arrived a year ago, there were honestly just a few dormant facilities ready to restart quickly. The Critical Minerals Institute recently published a feature in which 2 tungsten industry insiders explained that developing new projects requires 8 to 10 years simply to navigate permitting and build processing infrastructure. Even countries friendly to the United States face that timeline. Almonty Industries offers a visible example. The company has been working to reopen the Sangdong tungsten mine in South Korea, a project frequently cited as a potential alternative source. Company disclosures indicate that bringing meaningful volumes online involves years of construction, financing, and regulatory coordination. Immediate substitution for Chinese supply is, well, unrealistic. Defense budgets are not static. According to NATO communiques released this year, multiple member states have committed to sustained increases in military spending tied directly to ammunition replenishment and industrial rearmament. Ammunition production contracts signed in 2025 extend several years forward, locking in demand for high-density penetrators and hardened alloys that require tungsten. These contracts were priced assuming availability, not structural scarcity. In the United States, congressional testimony from senior defense officials this year acknowledged that munitions output targets for artillery shells and advanced systems remain well above pre-2022 levels. Scaling volume without scaling input security exposes a quiet contradiction. Output ambitions are expanding while upstream mineral diversification lags. Industrial policy is accelerating at the bottom of the supply chain while geology moves at its own pace at the top. Private manufacturers are already adjusting contract language. Industry procurement officers interviewed by the Wall Street Journal have described longer lead times and revised force majeure clauses tied to critical mineral disruptions. That shift signals that supply risk is no longer hypothetical. It is embedded in legal architecture. Financial markets are reacting as well. Commodity traders report thinner spot liquidity, and futures pricing reflects heightened geopolitical risk premiums rather than purely cyclical demand expectations. Hedge funds have increased exposure to critical mineral themes, amplifying volatility when new policy statements emerge from Beijing. Price behavior is now influenced as much by strategic signaling as by warehouse inventory. Meanwhile, downstream concentration is tightening. Chinese firms dominate not only primary production but also processing capacity for tungsten concentrates into high-purity compounds. Even if new mines in South Korea, Spain, or Canada reach operation later this decade, refining bottlenecks may persist unless parallel processing infrastructure is built. Mining without processing does not close the loop. China's domestic industrial policy continues to emphasize advanced manufacturing, electric vehicles, aerospace systems, and defense modernization. Each of those sectors consumes tungsten-intensive tools and components. Retaining supply internally strengthens downstream export competitiveness in finished goods, not just raw materials. The leverage therefore compounds across stages of the value chain. Energy markets add another layer. As global drilling activity stabilizes, demand for durable tungsten carbide bits remains structurally embedded in hydrocarbon extraction. Energy security and defense security intersect at the same mineral input. When two strategic sectors draw from the same constrained source, substitution becomes even more limited. This is no longer a question of whether alternative supply can be found. It is a question of sequencing. Which sectors secure material first and which absorb delay? Contracts are signed. Budgets are approved. Production targets are public. The metal underneath them is finite, concentrated, and politically managed. The European Commission has responded by emphasizing recycling under its critical raw material strategy. Officials have promoted recovering tungsten from scrap tools and industrial waste streams. Recycling can add incremental supply, but it cannot offset the magnitude of a 40% drop in exports from the dominant producer. The World Trade Organization provides avenues for dispute resolution over export restrictions, yet national security exemptions complicate enforcement. Legal proceedings unfold more slowly than commodity markets. By the time a ruling emerges, price structures may already be permanently altered. The International Monetary Fund's most recent World Economic Outlook highlighted how supply chain fragmentation increases input volatility and, constrains output. Tungsten's trajectory over the past year really illustrates that dynamic. Concentration of production in a single country just magnifies the impact of policy shifts. Aerospace manufacturers continue to report substantial order backlogs in public filings. Every aircraft requires precision machining using tungsten-based tools. Energy companies rely on tungsten carbide drill bits to maintain well productivity. Automotive plants depend on tungsten tooling for high-tolerance components. These sectors, honestly, cannot simply redesign processes overnight. Despite the price surge, new supply has not materialized at scale. Analysts at CRU Group project that non-Chinese output could increase later in the decade if projects in South Korea, Spain, and Canada proceed as planned. But those projections extend several years into the future and remain, well, contingent on execution. Meanwhile, domestic Chinese prices remain elevated. Bloomberg reported recently that spot markets inside China continue to trade near historical highs, reflecting persistent internal demand pressure. The export restriction did not create demand. It revealed it. The result after 1 year is visible in both data and procurement practice. Prices have tripled. Exports are down roughly 40%. China continues to produce around 67,000 metric tons annually, while alternative global supply remains measured in the low thousands. Domestic Chinese demand equals the rest of the world combined. What began as a targeted export restriction has exposed the depth of global dependence. Higher prices have not unlocked rapid new production. Permitting timelines stretch close to a decade. Compliance uncertainty slows trade. Industrial consumers remain price insensitive but, supply dependent. Tungsten was once overlooked because stockpiles were comfortable and conflicts were limited. Now it sits at the intersection of defense procurement, heavy industry, and national industrial policy. 1 year into the restriction, the market is tighter, the price is higher, and the path to diversification is measured in years, not months. As contracts renew and inventories thin further, the question facing manufacturers and defense planners is not whether tungsten is strategic. It is how long existing supply buffers can sustain production before constrained exports translate from elevated price charts into halted assembly lines.